Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Project Management for Beginners or Project Management 101, a free course to teach you all the fundamentals and basics that you need to succeed in project management. Wherever you are joining us from the world today, we are delighted to have you here. How are folks doing? Just wanted to check in. I know that life can be very busy and very, very difficult at times. So if you've been having any job woes or even life woes, please let us know in the comments, and the whole community here can support you through it. Me included, we want to make sure that everyone here in our little community is doing really well and is thriving to the extent as possible. So last time in part one, if you were able to join for that, if not, I'd recommend checking out part one first before you come back to part two so that you are able to know everything that we missed. We went over what exactly project management was and also how project management can help you excel at your job and get better work life balance, which I want everybody to have. And so we are going to go ahead and get started into step two, which is timeline mapping. We talked through understanding the basics of what you are actually project managing and all the different components of what that means, including, what your scope of work is, what your deliverables and your timelines are. And so in step two, we are going to piece that all together. So before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe if this content is interesting to you. And please, definitely, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. So let's jump in. Step two, timeline mapping. Again, I mentioned this in part one. This is arguably the most important part of the whole process in all of my years of project management. Really, this is a big part of defining whether or not you are going to do really well with managing your project or if there might be some bumps and hiccups along the way. And this process is, you are always learning from it. You get better with every project that you manage. And what timeline mapping means is you're essentially trying to fit all of the different puzzle pieces, all the different pieces that we talked about in part one, the deliverables, the partners, the deadlines, and you want to fit it all together to understand what exactly the picture of the whole project that you're managing. And so for folks that are visual learners, I am going to go through all the different pieces here. If not, and you do a little bit better by writing, please go ahead and check out my website. I have some free resources on there that you are able to download and able to fill out these sheets yourself so that you can be prepared in the timeline mapping process as well. So the first thing that you really want to take into consideration are your deliverable pieces. Make sure that you understand how many deliverables in your project is expected of you. For some projects, there will be one giant deliverable at the end. Maybe it's a video, maybe there are social media posts, maybe it's a large report. Some projects may only have one deliverable or one end product, and that is, that sometimes makes things easier, sometimes it complicates things and makes things a little bit harder. Some other projects may have multiple deliverables where, you have something that's due in 4 weeks, and then you have something adding on to that that's due in the next 2 weeks after that. So each piece builds on each other. That's also important to know. So whether or not you are filling out the worksheet online and going through and just jotting down, my first deliverable is a report, or my second deliverable is a slide deck, or just kind of in your mind checking off those things, that's really, really important to know because that is going to help us with the third part of really excelling at project management. So take a moment here and reopen up your scope of work, and that is, a document that really lists out what the project is. And sometimes it's not one document either. Sometimes you will have to talk to your supervisor or your team to really verbally understand what exactly you're managing. And if that pops up, go back to part one and you can ask them the exact questions that I have laid out about, timeline, who's involved, any anticipated challenges, and that will really help you understand what are all the different pieces that you need to be creating for the project that you're managing. So that's the first part with deliverables. And moving down to partner availability, this is also really important as well. So if you're on the worksheet, I would highly recommend that you write down who all your partners are. And partners, again, are people that you're working with externally. So these are not people in your organization or on your team. These are people who are outside of your organization that you might be partnering with. If this is an education organization, or if, there's another nonprofit or another, healthcare agency, it could be all across the board, but these are folks who are not a part of your own organization. Go ahead and write each of those partners down and the contact information of all of the different individuals who are part of these partners organizations, and also their availability as well, because that's going to really help you understand how much time that these partners have to dedicate to this project, and also who to contact, so you're not scrambling for contact information at the last minute, or if your supervisor asks, hey, who is in charge of this at so and so organization, you have that information in your back pocket and you can pull it out. So that's very, very important as you move towards scheduling meetings. You're going to need to know who of the partners have to be a part of it, and you'll need to know their availability. So that is a very important part of the timeline mapping. And moving through to this next puzzle piece, which is due dates. This directly correlates with the deliverables, because you will want to know with each piece what is the due date for it. Really great projects or easy projects or good scopes of work will actually let you know what the due date is. So if you're holding a piece of paper and it tells you exactly what the project is and it gives you a due date, that is wonderful. That is the due date that you're going to be working with. For most projects that I have managed, and in my experience, it is a little bit gray, and that makes it difficult to know what exactly the due date is supposed to be. So there are a couple different strategies that you can utilize to figure out what your due date is supposed to be for all the different deliverables that you need to do. Some due dates will be natural, like the end of a grant, or the end of a funding cycle, or the end of a fiscal year. So you'll naturally have a deadline that you have to meet, and then you can work backwards. Other times it's a conversation with your supervisor, with your team, of asking, when do we need to have this done? And they may give you a specific date, they may give you a month, they might give you, a range of dates. Take that and work backwards. So, for example, let's say that you have a report and it's due in 2 months' time, and you know that it's going to take, you working on it every day for a few hours, or maybe one day for a larger chunk of time. Break the report down into different parts that you need to fulfill, and assign due dates to those smaller parts so that it feels a little bit easier to manage, so you're not having to write 20 pages in 1 week. You can write 4 pages a week, 3 pages the next week, and really break it down so that by the time your due date comes up, all of it is already prepared and you just have to put it together. Understanding your due date is really, really important. So if you are unsure, set up a time with your team, set up a time with your supervisor, and ask, hey, can I get some clarity on what you're anticipating or expecting this deliverable or deliverables to be finished? And from there, jot down all of the dates that you hear, or all of these timelines, and work backwards. So you have your date and you have your deliverables, start working backwards. In part 3, I'll show you how to jot all of that down, and also offer some resources as well. So you can start to see now that there's a lot of different aspects of this popping up here and there, right? There's a lot of different pieces that you need to be managing and juggling, which is why this step is so important, because essentially you're gathering all the information that you need and you're dumping it into one space. And this could be on a piece of paper that you write down. I really, really love to do that. This can be on the worksheet that I have on my website, and that's completely free for you to utilize. This could be you just typing on a, like on a Word document or something like that. But it is really important to get all of these things on paper and down. And so the next part that I want to talk about is the anticipated challenges section. Of course, there are going to be challenges that you aren't able to anticipate or to foresee, but sometimes, and you always want to take some time to think about it, there will be anticipated challenges. For instance, if you have to work with two groups that you know that maybe there's some friction there, you can anticipate that there might be some interpersonal challenges and have a plan in place if you need to bring somebody in to mediate. Or you might see that there's a major holiday coming up, right? That might slow down your project, so you might not get as quick responses or be able to get something turned around and reviewed as quickly. So you can build that in to your timeline as well, so that you have some buffer. So the challenges might be something small, and sometimes the challenges are bigger, but just taking some time to think about it and to plan in advance will really, really help you. So there's a space in my worksheet that allows you to write down some anticipated challenges. I also include some prompts and questions in there. So if you are having a hard time thinking about where you should start, go ahead and take a look at that worksheet, and I will also have further videos on that as well. And if you have any additional questions, please put them into the comments, and I will do my best to answer them. And finally, the last but honestly really, really important part is major milestones. And this is because you want to be able to report back to your supervisor or leadership when you hit a major milestone of the project. Let's say part 1 of part 3 of all the different reports or slide decks that you need is completed. You want to report that because that's an achievement, and a testament to how well you've been managing the project, but also how well your team is doing, how well the project is doing, and also be able to report to them, if any challenges have come up that they should be aware of. The second part of really knowing all of these major milestones of the project is so that you can celebrate with your team. I really, really believe that it's so important to acknowledge all of the work that is being done, to give credit where it's due, to acknowledge and to recognize who has been helping with some of the different aspects of the project, and how some of these things would not be able to come together without the work of your whole team. So if you have these major milestones jotted down, once you achieve them, you can send out a thank you email, or at your next meeting, acknowledge to the team that you're with, hey, we have reached a major milestone, we've accomplished it, here is the milestone that we've reached, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being such a pivotal part or such an important part of this project. Recognition is so good for building up morale, and so good at creating a really good rapport, a positive rapport with the people that you're working with, and encouraging them and you as well to collaborate better and to make the process of managing this project as enjoyable as possible. So with that, the more important part is going to happen in part 3, where we talk through step 4. I know I said it's part three, but this is actually going to be step four, which is the project management tracker creation. So this is where we are going to bring together your whole brain dump that we just did in the last section, and we are going to put together a beautiful project management tracker for you to use. So if you are interested, please join me in part three, where we talk through project management tracker creations. And as always, if this has been helpful, please like and subscribe. With that, I will see you in the next part of our free project management course.